I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I'm very glad to be here, mainly because it means I'm not in Washington, D.C. right now. That makes me very happy not to be there right now because of, I think, the tone and the tenor of that town. My parents were school teachers, public school teachers. My father was born in 1944 in segregation and poverty in Memphis, Tennessee. When we used to go back to see his relatives as a small child, I was always very uncomfortable. I didn't know why. When you're small, you don't necessarily know why, but some of the smells and little things moving on the walls, and it was only as an adult I went back and I realized that little house he grew up in on Cable Street was actually a shotgun shack, meaning, for those of you who are not from the South, that the parcel of land was so narrow, the house was built one room after the other, out to the outhouse. You could fire a shotgun and hit every room out the back. My father grew up in that little shotgun shack. I'm a 9th generation American, but I'm the first person in my family that was born with all my rights recognized by this government. A 9th generation American, but I'm the first one that was born with my rights recognized by this government. And when my father decided he didn't want to stay poor, what he did was he joined the military. Everybody else was running out the military. My dad ran in. And when he got out, he put himself through college. Went to a little black college called Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. That's right. And he married the college president's daughter, my mother, because my dad had it like that, Willie Jones was bad now, I ain't gonna lie. So, hey. So he goes from that shotgun shack to being married to the college president's daughter. What that means is, on my mother's side of the family, not only was she a teacher, my grandfather was also an educator. And I learned from my father and from my mother the importance of what you're doing. I am very proud to be a progressive, but my father was too smart to be a liberal or a conservative. My father was very clear about what it took to get out of poverty because he had gone through it. And my father was one of those principals. When he would walk into that building, the kids walked a little bit taller because my dad didn't play. And my dad was like, Foster? I know your mother, boy, get in that class. And he would clear the hallway, would just, boom, gone. And I was, there was a movie came out with Morgan Freeman in it called Lean on Me. And when it came out, I said, Daddy, they got this movie out. Well, what's the movie about? I said, it's about a principal, and he goes into this high school, it's full of terrible children, and he turns the school around. He's just like you. And my dad said, lean on me. I teach these kids to lean on themselves. I say that because my father knew something I think we've forgotten. When CNN, I'm so proud to be on CNN now, and I wish he had lived to see me on CNN, honestly. But as a child, when CNN first came on cable, he would sit there in his recliner and cuss out everybody. Democrats, Republicans, nobody was safe from Willie Jones. And what he was able to convey to me and to my sister and to all of us, he said, the liberals don't understand what it takes to get somebody out of poverty. He said, you can't just give somebody money and stop them from being poor. I said, why do you say that, Dad? He goes, no, you can give somebody money and stop them from being broke. But if they're still poor in their heart, if they're still poor in their mind, if they're still poor in their skills, if they're still poor in their self-esteem, they'll be broke again tomorrow. You can't just give somebody something and stop them from being poor. He said every kid has to climb that ladder out of poverty with their own effort, because that's the only way that they'll never be put back into poverty. He said, so these liberals, they don't know what they're talking about. He said, but the conservatives don't know what they're talking about either. He said, that kid's got a responsibility to climb that ladder out of poverty. But every adult's got a responsibility too, to make sure that every kid has a ladder to climb. Every kid needs to have a ladder to climb. And so, the best educators are always the most liberal and the most conservative. They're the most liberal in fighting for the resources, fighting for the policies, fighting for the support that schools need to be great schools, and then the most conservative in getting after them little young folk and making them get their lesson and do their homework and take personal responsibility for their own growth. And the fact that that now seems like an odd conversation, that conservative values and liberal values are both needed to make America strong, is a part of why nothing is working anymore. And it's a part of why what you're doing is so important. You are the last bastion of sanity in America. You are. You are. You're the last people that you have to have common sense. You just like the brother who was up here a minute ago brought tears to my eyes saying, it doesn't matter who comes through your door. You walking in that building, kids whose parents voted for Trump, people's parents who voted for Hillary Clinton, who voted for Bernie Sanders, who didn't vote or who couldn't vote, all sitting in the same classroom, all with their eyes bright, and a future that could be great or terrible, sometimes based on a single word from a teacher. And the fact that the people who you serve every day, you help the people who help the people. I mean, you support the people who support the people. There's no more noble work than your work. Because the people you're supporting every day, the people who are in classrooms right now, some of them, 26 kids in a classroom, 32 kids in a classroom, sometimes with 6 books and no chalk. And those kids got to go and compete with kids that go to schools with electronic boards. They've never seen chalk because it's all electronic. Those people who you're supporting every day, you're supporting the people who support the people. And that means you're the backbone of the backbone. And I want to just give you my reflections about how we can navigate through this madness. Because, I think the crazy has taken over now. I'm on a crusade against crazy. I just think it's just getting it's nuts. And so sometimes you have to go back to basic principles. And I'm just going to tell you 3 things that I believe are true that I hope will help you in leading and trying to hold stuff together. Because you guys know, one of the great things about getting a chance to just come and talk to people face to face, this is off topic, but I'm just going to say this real quick. TV studios are small with nobody in there but you and a couple of camera people. I'm saying this because y'all can see me. I can't see you, okay? So when you come up to me and you say, hey, I'm like, I don't know you. I'm just at work. So, be patient with me. But it's so good to be able to not be in a little phone booth and come out in the world, and actually see real people. And, I've learned some things sitting there on those sets. Every night I have to sit next to people I don't agree with. It's so great just to be standing here with, no Trump supporter to my left or to my right. It's just, it gives me I mean, no disrespect. It just gives me some freedom to just, really say it how I feel it, and not get cut off, And I tell you, therapy and meditation is very good in my job. But because I've had to sit there for almost 4 years now, that Groundhog's Day, didn't we just have this argument? Didn't we literally just have this very same discussion yesterday? And the day before that? And the day before that? You start to realize some things. You start to see some things. See, you guys get mad and just change the channel. I can't change the channel. It's my job. So I'm starting to realize, first of all, I think we underestimate the heroism of our cause as Americans. I think we have to start with that. I think some of us had gotten in that Obama bubble bath and was thinking how wonderful it all is and how great it all feels. Not everybody, but some of us were in that Obama bubble bath. And then we stood up after 8 years and we were kind of weak and wrinkly. And we weren't really prepared to fight nobody. I mean, we thought that was kind of a wrap, And thought it was going to be easy forever now. That we had sort of gotten someplace. It's going to be easy forever. And I think, and I mean Republicans and Democrats, people who voted against him and people who voted for him, I think felt like something had happened that was permanent. And now that feels less permanent. And I think we underestimate the heroism of our cause as Americans. 300 million people, every color, every class, every faith, every gender, every sexuality, every ability level, every kind of human being ever born in one country. And we mostly get along. I mean, I've been blessed to travel the world. They got some countries, they have 2 ethnic groups and they fight all the time. I go over there, I'm like, y'all can't make it work with 2? You got 2. And you can't work this out with 2. In LA, we got 37 languages spoken in the public schools every day. And they can't make it work with 2. Now you look at what we do every day. What we do every day, take the crazy out of the thing from DC. Just what you do every day in your city is a miracle in human history. Don't forget that. For 10,000 years, it was perfectly acceptable to say the people on the other side of that hill are the Ugabas and we're the Ugaboos. So we're going to go over there and chop them into small bits because they're in a different tribe. That's 10,000 years of human history. You're the only weird people who have somehow convinced yourselves that your tribe is everybody. Doesn't matter what color they are. Doesn't matter how they pray. If they're a human being, that's your tribe. You're weird. Okay? This is new. This is a tough argument to make. The easy argument to make is me and you against them. It's much easier to divide people based on a problem than to unite people based on a solution. Okay? And you're always going to be going uphill because that's just not an easy thing for people to accept. Second thing, I think it's important. Honor the heroism of your cause. Democracy is hard to do. America is hard to do. And we're doing better than anybody thought we would ever do, and we've got to do much better still. But this is tough. And if you underestimate it, you're going to get beat. If you take a day off, you're going to get beat. If you just assume that because you made a good argument 4 years ago or 8 years ago or 100 years ago or 1968, and now you can just take your foot off the gas, you're going to get beat. Number two, trying to tell the story of America in these classrooms has itself become a point of division. All you multicultural people, you PC snowflake people, you racists, you people who just want to, praise slave owners. And it can be very contentious just trying to tell the story of who we are. I can only tell you what I've come to. The reason that we have this struggle is because America has never been one thing. It's always been two. It's been the founding reality, and it's been the founding dream. The founding reality is ugly and unequal according to Thomas Jefferson. Don't get mad at me when I say it's ugly and unequal. You can go to Washington, D.C. right now, if you don't believe me, and go to the Jefferson Memorial. Climb the steps. Go into that big, beautiful arena. And if you read, in marble and stone, it says, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. This is the founder. That does not sound like triumphalism. That does not sound like we solved the world's problems, we created the most perfect thing ever. That sounds like something's wrong. What's he talking about? He's talking about the enslavement. Even as a slave owner himself, he's worried about the enslavement. And I like to imagine he might have been worried about more than that. Maybe he was worried about the fact that the founding reality, no woman could vote. Founding reality. He may have been worried about the fact that Native Americans were being slaughtered and their land being stolen. That's the founding reality. He may have been concerned that unless you were a white, male, heterosexual Christian landowner, you could not vote at all. Founding reality. And if that's all America ever was, there would be very little reason for any of us to be patriotic. Because the founding reality was so ugly and unequal that even Thomas Jefferson was worried about it. But here's the good news. All you have to do is turn your head a few degrees and you read something else from the same Thomas Jefferson. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all are created equal. Founding dream. It's a dream about equality. It's a beautiful dream. And it gives you an understanding of who are we as Americans. Who are we? You got every color in the Skittles bag. You got every kind of person ever born. What makes us Americans? We are that unique people, that rainbow-colored people that every generation has tried to close the gap between that ugly founding reality and that beautiful founding dream. That's who we are. That's what we do. That's what makes us Americans. And no, it's not perfect. This is not a perfect union. But every generation has tried to make it a more perfect union, and that's who we are. And that story doesn't leave nothing out. Everybody gets to have a place in that story. But the thing about that story, if we tell it right, you never tell anybody to deny the pain. You never say, black folks, sit down, shut up, we're tired of hearing about this racism stuff. Hey, after 9 generations, and I'm the first one, I think I might have a little bit more to say about this situation. I mean, y'all might have to listen for a minute. At least give me 2 generations. You know, you don't tell the women to sit down and shut up. You don't tell the people who have suffered and who have borne the burden of this journey to be quiet, and your pain is making me uncomfortable. Be quiet. You never deny the pain, but you don't let the pain have the last word either. You see? Because we're bigger than the pain, and the dream of a better tomorrow is frankly more important than the tragedy of yesterday. The people of yesterday don't want us held back. They suffered because they want us to do better. They want us to be better and not bitter. And so, don't underestimate the heroism of your cause. Don't doubt your ability to tell an American story that includes everybody, but does so in a way that lifts us up and doesn't put anybody down. And lastly, listen to what we tell these children to say. Because the grown people in Washington, D.C. are flunking kindergarten. Okay, don't look to them. Don't look to them. They don't know how to share. They don't know how to listen. They don't, so don't look to them. Congress would not pass kindergarten today. So, but listen to what the kindergartners say every morning. With liberty and justice for all, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You're sitting there worrying, how can I get through a situation where you have passionate people on the right, passionate people on the left? They don't listen to each other. They don't even listen to the same news. They don't even share a same body of facts. How can I get through this with liberty and justice for all? See, we have to stop being anti-intellectual in America. Liberty is a right-wing concept. Liberty is a leave me alone concept. Liberty is a government out of my way concept. Liberty is a let me go out here and make my money and be myself and do my thing and not be held down by any authority concept. That's a right-wing concept. Justice is a left-wing concept. Justice says, okay, well, fine, maybe we should live in a market system, but can we have a great society if we only do what the big corporations can make money off of? And what about the little groups that might get run over by the big groups? And what about the weak groups that might get run over by the strong groups? Justice is a left-wing concept. You are tricking these children to get them to put in one sentence 2 ideas that actually are proud ideas, noble ideas, but are not usually found together. But look at the wisdom of that pledge. If you have justice without liberty, if you let people like me, good liberal progressives like me, take over, we don't have good sense. We don't. You'll have overregulation, overtaxation, big bureaucracies. Ask me how I know. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Conservatives ask very important questions. They ask, how much does this cost and who's going to pay for it? I never ask that. I just say, feed the babies. I'm not thinking about that. Okay? You don't want the liberals to take over. Everybody be equal and broke. So you don't want that. Same time, if you just have liberty with no justice, you just let everybody go out here and do whatever they want to do, you will soon have a different type of domination. It won't be government domination. It'll be corporate domination. You'll have corporations polluting everybody, poisoning everybody, lying to everybody. And you'll have a different type of a nightmare. Justice without liberty is a nightmare. Liberty without justice is a nightmare. In other words, we need each other. We need each other. I've never seen a bird fly with only a left wing. And I'm a Democrat. I've never seen a bird fly with only a right wing. My father had enough sense to know you need both wings for a bird to fly. And what holds those two wings together is a beating heart. And that's who you are. That's who you are. You're that beating heart. Let all this madness go. Let it go around you. But you're that beating heart that knows the value of every one of those kids and all their parents. Most people suck, and most people are awesome. Most people suck, and most people are awesome. So we don't have to pick and choose among anybody. We're going to help everybody. We're going to love everybody. And someday we'll have a country with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.